Okay. Good morning, everyone out there in the world. Very early morning here in the UK. Hi, Charlie.
Good morning. How are you, Eva?
Good. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm awake. Yeah, so I'm
Good.
quite happy.
Good. Excellent. So welcome everyone to Makeover Monday live in the week of Data 20 or this year's Tableau conference. The first question I want to ask everyone is to comment in the live chat where they're dialing in from, where they currently are, because this is obviously going to be probably a non-US unless someone's maybe dialing in from the West Coast, making it a late night. But I'm anticipating to have quite a few people from Australia, New Zealand, India, Singapore, hopefully Japan. So
Yeah, it's going to be good.
Absolutely. So what we're going to start with, I just want to make sure we get a few more people on board before we start the presentation slides so that people all can kind of catch up on that. So we have someone from France, we have people from London, Auckland, in New Zealand. Excellent. I used to live in Wellington. It was quite a nice time over there. And
so Nigeria and India as well so far. Canada. So Canada, they must be up.
US, West Coast. Someone is burning the midnight oil. India, Canada. Yep, I can see it coming through. So we'll give it a couple more minutes before we really start in the slides. And I sent out a tweet for people to share what they learned during this presentation. So feel free to take some screenshots while we're talking and, the stuff that stands out to you. And hopefully you'll learn something new. And if you're kicking back with a snack, maybe a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, whatever you like, do send your selfies as well. I think that would be fun to see.
You're someone from Belarus as well. I can't remember having a Belarusian before. So
oh wow,
reaching new areas. It's good.
Denise, Mississippi coast in the US. Wow, Denise, that is must be, I don't know, somewhere in the middle of the night. But good for you. It's great to hear. And I think some people from like continental Europe or even from the UK are going to dial in early so they can kind of do it before starting their work day. So that's great to hear. We'll give it maybe another minute and then we'll get started. India, yes, excellent. So some people I know were eager to get started yesterday and they were looking for the data and they couldn't find it. It's because we were sneaky and we haven't made it public yet. So Charlie did set it all up because it involves quite a few steps to get it on all the different websites and things. But we're going to hit make public a bit later on.
Yeah, it's probably worth saying that there's ever such a slight disconnect between what the actual viz is this week and the data set because the viz that we're looking at relates to some city level information and we don't have city level information, but we've got counties in America, but it's good enough. So
it's a pretty terrible viz too. That's quite fun. Okay. All right. I think we're good to start. So let me jump over to our introduction slides and hit the presentation button. So maybe just a quick one of how this is going to go before we go into the slides. So we're going to share basically what Makeover Monday is, why we think you should participate if you haven't yet, and what you can tell your colleagues and your friends if they're reluctant or if they haven't started yet. Then we're going to have 60 minutes for a live makeover. And I don't know if I actually told Charlie about this. So typically when we're at Tableau conference, in the room, everyone gets together and everyone does a viz. And we tend to walk around because we want to chat to people and help them out. We can't do that this time, but we have the live chat, so we're hoping for lots of interactivity there. Talk to your fellow Tableau vizzers. And during those 60 minutes, for those who don't want to build a viz, because you're free to do as you please, I actually going to share our screen and build it. So Charlie, you're welcome to also do that, and we can kind of swap the screen share because then we can use those 60 minutes very productively. And in the afternoon session, Andy's going to share his screen and build his viz. He's going to be with us in probably about 50 or so minutes. Okay. yeah, I think we're good to go. Let's get straight into it. So my name is Eva Murray. I'm a tech evangelist at Exasol and a Tableau Zen Master, and have been running Makeover Monday. Wow, by the end of this year, it will be 4 years.
And I'm Charlie Hutchison. In my day job, I'm an underwriter, which is a very exciting, glamorous life. And I've been doing Makeover Monday since 6 months after it started. So I caught up, and then I've done every single one since. So part of an elite club with, I think, Andy and maybe one or two others. I don't know, Eva, did you go back and do?
I did not. I think it's only you two. I don't think anyone else has done them all. So yeah, good on you. You're the absolute veteran. Cool. And Andy, I mean, pretty much everyone knows Andy anyway, but he can introduce himself later on when he joins us. So yeah, we'll just keep his picture up there for now.
Yeah, I mean, we'll hear loads from him later, I'm sure.
Oh, you can't stop him. So what is Makeover Monday? We turned it into a mission statement that we want to improve how people visualize and analyze data one chart at a time. And maybe a quick question, Charlie. You've done them all over almost 5 years now. What have you learned? Have you improved how you visualize and analyze data?
I think so. I've definitely plateaued. There's no getting away from that. So but it took me a good year or 18 months to kind of land on what is pretty much what my style of stuff is. So I do very clean, basic, simple, easy to understand stuff. And I think so. It took me a year and a half to get there. And since then, I think I've just got a bit quicker at doing stuff. So I might. I'm sort of like a slowed down version of Andy. So if you watch him doing Watch Me Viz, I think I tend to kind of do what he does, but a bit slower, and the end product's not as good. But you know, it's in the same kind of ballpark.
I would say your end product is always good. It's always neat and you know, very clean, easy to understand. I think that's also something where the three of us are fairly similar. We don't do the fancy charts or, you know, something super elaborate. We're like, okay, keep it kind of simple. Also due to the time pressure, I suppose. But yeah, it's good to hear that you have definitely learned and improved over time. And of course you have. But for those who maybe haven't seen your profile, that's something I would suggest they check out.
How about you then? So, because you've been doing this for 4 years pretty much. So how's your style progressed?
Good question. I think in the beginning, so when I started Makeover Monday, I was just about to move from Australia to Germany. I think my first one was March 2016. I think the first year I did about half of them, or just a little under half of them. And yeah, my first ones, you know, I tried to be kind of smart with icons, and I don't know if I really had color overload. I definitely used more color than I needed to, but I never went into the crazy, you know, 20 different color pie chart kind of thing. And yeah, but I definitely have simplified. I've tidied up. There's no more automatic sizing, no more weird layout of dashboards. Like, I definitely put more thought into what do I want people to take away from it? How does it need to be structured? What should be the layout, etc. So that's been a good lesson for me. Okay, and I see there's more people from India joining, so that's excellent. Okay, so what Makeover Monday is, in terms of the nuts and bolts, is a global social data project, and we have lots and lots of regular participants. They are all over the world, so you'll see some of them in this live session through the live chat. You'll see some of them maybe at a later point this afternoon. And it's a weekly project, hence the name, Makeover Monday. So there's always a good opportunity to join if you missed out 1 week, to just join again next week. And yeah, we give you free feedback and support. And Charlie, I have to say, when you joined the hosting crew of Makeover Monday, I really enjoy our Viz reviews. I think they're the Makeover Monday highlight of my week.
Yeah, it's because we changed the format since moving from one sort of channel to another. I think it's become a lot easier for us. And actually, today's showing that there's quite a lot of engagement from people in the chat window. And yeah, Viz review is definitely good fun, particularly when we see people come back, iterate, maybe take on board some feedback, or maybe they'll borrow some ideas from other visits they've seen. So it's the most rewarding bit of the week.
Yeah, and it's just really cool to see what people have done, but also to just often people just need a few suggestions to make it, a lot better or a lot clearer, easier to understand. So Viz Review, if you don't know yet, and we'll get to that, is a weekly session we run completely for free. And this is something I'm saying especially to the Germans, because my fellow Germans often say, what do you mean it's free? You don't have to pay for it? So no, you don't. And while this is probably an audience of mostly Tableau users, you can bring any tool you like. It doesn't really matter. You can do hand-drawn stuff. And of course, it's a great learning and networking opportunity. And at the moment, networking is all virtual, but hopefully, eventually, we can make real events happen again. So I did the numbers yesterday. At this point, we have 40 data sets, with one coming up very shortly. And we have, at least from what people have registered through the submissions form, 7,584 visualizations this year. And that's already more than we had last year for the entire year. So every year we're increasing, which is great.
It's really good, isn't it? Because I've been involved in this since the start, and I've got a T-shirt that I'm not wearing today, but it's the numbers have grown and grown, and Makeover Monday landed at such a good time. So when Andy Cockery first thought of this all those years ago, it was like Tableau was still relatively young, and the need for data skills was still fairly embryonic, and now it's just grown and grown along with that need for people to develop the skills. And I think I'm not seeing anything else out there that's the equivalent, that so many people are able to just dip in and out of and practice each week. So it's been a hell of a successful project, I'd say.
Yeah, and that's the bit I love. I mean, we see regular participants who come every single week, and we can rely on them to always deliver the goods. But there's also people who have kind of gone a bit quiet, but life happens. Sometimes you need time for other things, and it's perfectly fine. And then people come back, and it's really cool that we can have this kind of project. And there have been 1,863 unique participants this year alone. And this is unique participants. So give yourselves a round of applause. Okay, so how does it work? This is our weekly cycle, and a lot of you are probably familiar with this picture. We've made a couple of tweaks. So every Sunday, typically, we publish the data because we're in the UK. We know that some people, obviously, who are further east from us, they want to get started. Maybe it's already Monday by the time we publish the data. Plus, some people prefer to do it on the weekend because they don't have time during the week. And then we see a lot of activity Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday we have our Viz Review webinar on YouTube in the same kind of format, same channel. And Charlie, we've really enjoyed doing those YouTube live ones because we have so many more people being engaged through the live chat.
Yeah, and we tweaked a few things. So we tweaked the channel that we're on, and we tweaked the way in which we actually curate the list of visits that we look at now. So what we do is we try to look through stuff that's got a mixture of different chart types, or things that we think are particularly good, or things that could be better. We'll try and pick out some people who are new to Makeover Monday, so we get a real mix of stuff. And because when we did it before, we'd often get stuck in a position where we'd have 10 line charts in a row, and there's only so much you can say about line charts and bar charts. So we tried to freshen it up a little bit, and I think we get through a load, don't we? We're doing a good hour or an hour and a quarter a week, and probably get through 25 maybe a week. So it's going well.
Yes, absolutely. And if I'm honest, I would love to do that for 2 hours, but at some point we just have to make dinner and those kind of things. So it's the reason there's a time limit is just for everyone's sanity, and so that we can make it sustainable. And maybe at this point, I know there's a lot of initiatives out there, and sometimes people say, well, could you also do this in Makeover Monday, or could you do that? And the only reason why we wouldn't say no to things that seem useful is that we can't sustain it. Makeover Monday has been running for 5 years consistently, every week without fail, Christmas, New Year's, whatever. And to do that, I'll have to say, it's quite the effort, but we found a way to make it work. So, we do try to bring in new things and tweak and improve things, but we sometimes just have to say no to things because they might be fine to do for a month, but not sustainable for the long term. So once we've done the viz review, people tend to implement our feedback. We love seeing that. They send new tweets out with new pictures of the updated visualizations, and then on Fridays we publish our favorites, and just to kind of end the week on a bit of a high and show what have people produced and what visualizations really captured the essence of the data and turned it into a really good story or an effective visualization. And then on Saturday, behind the scenes, we get the next data set ready.
And we should also point out that on Friday, when it's favorites and it's Eva's week, like most of us have 24 hours in a day, but Eva somehow has 30 hours in a day. So she even records a video on a Friday to share where she'll talk through her favorites and give some lessons learned. So it's like it's an improvement on what the blog was, a year or so ago, where Eva and Andy would just write down some stuff in the blog. But now she records a video, which is so much better. Is probably up there with Viz Review as one of the highlights of the week. So it's just loads of opportunities to learn throughout this whole process for everybody.
Thank you, Charlie. That's very kind. I have to say, I really enjoyed the impact we could have with the blog. So we used to write these lessons learned, but it took 3 hours per blog post to write, and that's just not quite feasible. And I thought, how can I bring that back but make it more fun for myself? So typically it takes me maybe about half an hour to do the video, bit of quick editing, and I really enjoy them. And it seems that people are more engaged with video content. So all the power to you guys, and you can find those on my channel, which is going to come up shortly. So let's move over to why you should join us. And we've got a few points, and hopefully you've heard these before and they all make sense. The first one is to build your skills, and Charlie mentioned this earlier. And Charlie, you've seen over those 5 years a lot of people build their skills in Tableau or whatever tool they use, haven't you?
Oh, it's really crazy, and it's so obvious now. You see so many more people seem to have almost start from a higher sort of level on the ladder than I did when I started. So I don't know if I just wonder if data visualization in general is attracting people with maybe more of a design background than it used to. So maybe it was just people who, like me as an example, were kind of an Excel guy who shuffled around into roles. And we've got to a position where there's so many people with just a keen eye for design, and it gives you a real boost at the start. Because if you can learn the tool and you've already got this design background, then your work stands out immediately. But I think in the past, it's not unreasonable to say there was probably 5, 10, 15 submissions a week where you thought, wow, that's really, really good. But now there's such a depth, and actually it is truly global. So there's talent everywhere. And it's really inspiring because when you've done it for ages like me, it avoids you getting into a rut because you keep seeing all these different people emerging with new stuff and new skills and new technical ability. So it's really, really good.
Absolutely. And I think it also goes to show that resources that are out there, like Andy's extensive YouTube channel that you're all on right now, there's so much content. When I first started using Tableau, there wasn't that much. So I think people can now learn more before they even get involved in these challenges. So, yeah. And by doing that, you can build your data viz portfolio. And here another audience question. If everyone who used their portfolio to get a new job or a promotion or a new project could please raise their hand, maybe leave some sort of emoji response, because there are a lot of people who have done that. And we have a list of well over 60 people and they are just the ones who contacted us, who said, hey, this helped me build my portfolio, because every week they build a viz, it's on their Tableau public portfolio or whatever tool they use, and they can show that when they're applying for a job and say, this is what I can do. And there is real proof. So I highly recommend to everyone who is looking to work in this industry, and maybe who, like me a few years ago, said, I want to do Tableau all day, every day. People need to know what you're capable of. So build your portfolio by doing Makeover Monday, but also many of these other visualization projects, because you have this constant feed of stuff going into your portfolio.
Yeah, the portfolio point is really important because I'm in an area where we're recruiting at the moment for analysts, and I've shape the process to say, actually, you've got to show me what you can do, because if you don't show me that you've got a portfolio, then you've got a challenge convincing me that you're actually proactive and that you spend your own time developing. Because if I don't see that people are prepared to do that in their own time, then what confidence do I have that they're prepared to, take charge of their career actually when they're at work and they're being salaried for it? So it's such a basic and simple thing to do. Build a portfolio, do this once a week. Within a year, you've got 52 examples, and it gives you a head start. So it would be crazy not to do it.
Absolutely. And I see a few emoji responses coming through. Now, let's keep in mind, we've got about 56 people online. It is early for the majority of people who typically join these YouTube lives. So let's ask that question again this afternoon, see what we can get. And you can obviously learn and get inspired, because for every data set, you will see dozens, maybe even hundreds of visualizations. So even if 10 people build a bar chart, that you're going to get 10 different bar charts. And I know some people follow Makeover Monday and just watch, and they're like, oh, that's a new idea. I'm going to try that out. And then the connecting with others and networking. I mean, I didn't know Charlie before Makeover Monday, and I consider him a good friend now. We can talk about data, we can talk about running, and it's been really cool.
Yeah, it's the only downside of this year is that we don't get to do a conference, because it's such a strange and unique environment when you get loads of people together where maybe you only really see each other virtually normally. But to meet up in person with a bunch of other like-minded people is great fun. But hopefully things like today can help bridge the gap and get everyone feeling a little bit more connected.
Absolutely. And then lastly, you can have a real impact. We've done a lot of collaborations with non-profit organizations over the years. And especially this year, we kicked off the Viz 5 initiative with Operation Fistula, which is all about visualizing gender equality. So every month we do a data set that's focused on those topics. And by participating, not only are you getting all those other benefits we just spoke about, but you're also building visualizations that help organizations get visibility for the cause that they're, working on. Because a lot of those nonprofits, especially the smaller ones, they might have no one working with data visualization, or maybe one person who is the data engineer, the data scientist, the data analyst, all in once. But if we can give them 150 or 200 visualizations all at once, they have all these different ways of sharing their message, and it really helps them massively. So if you say, well, I can't commit every week, but I really love this idea of making an impact, join us for the Viz 5 weeks and see whether you like it. Okay, a quick thing of what's in it for you, and here's our book. So Andy and I published a book after the first year that I joined him for Makeover Monday. I'm going to share some discount links after this presentation once we get into the live chat, because if you don't have this book yet, you're welcome to purchase it, but make sure to wait for the discount code, because you can save yourself a few bucks. And I have a new book. If you want to go beyond the visualization building and the analysis itself, but actually bring people together, whether it's an online project like the one we're doing, or it's something in your organization, maybe you want to build a center of excellence or something like that, then my new book is for you. And it's coming out today with a discount code. So don't worry about pre-ordering. I mean, you can pre-order on Amazon and wait a couple of months. I just got a message from the editor that the shipping date is probably early November for the US, which is a month later than I expected. But I've got a discount code for the e-version, the ebook version, and it's going to be on a really cool platform called RedShelf, and you can use it like a textbook. You can annotate it, you can really work with it. So give me a few minutes once we do our live vizzing, and I will get those out on Twitter, and I'd love to hear what you think. And then Viz Review, I'll let Charlie maybe just reiterate a couple of points about how we do this.
Yeah, so when you submit your Makeover Monday visualization, if you put the hashtag MMVizReview with your tweet, then it means that it gets onto our list of submissions that we might be looking at on Viz Review. And it's not, there's no guarantee that if you put the hashtag on there that we'll include it, but what we will do, like I said earlier, is we'll filter through stuff. So we try and have a variety of different chart types or a variety of different learning points. So maybe people are overusing color, or they put a strong background image in which is distracting, or maybe they've just laid things out really cleverly, or they've used some new functionality. So we'll highlight all of these different examples of good practice and practice which is improvable. And we'll whistle through things. We normally take about, 2 or 3 minutes on each viz. And then afterwards, like we discussed earlier, we just like to see what happens on Twitter. So quite a decent proportion of people do iterate and take stuff on board and make tweets. And that's the bit where it sort of closes the loop for us, because it's a bit weird. Share data virtually, people do it, they do a tweet. It's the point where it feels like our feedback's landing, and it feels a bit more personal touch when we see viz review iterations. So yeah, like we said earlier, it's probably the favorite part of the week.
Absolutely. So yeah, join us for the next viz review. We actually have one scheduled for this week. I'm sure we can fit it in somehow.
Yeah, I don't think it's scheduled.
Oh, it's not scheduled. Sorry, I have it on my calendar, but we don't have it scheduled yet. Yeah. So favorites, we've already mentioned that. And with the favorites, you don't have to create an elaborate dashboard that's super advanced. If you just build a really simple chart that is very effective, that's perfectly fine. So we focus on best practices first and foremost, compelling storytelling, and sometimes even if the visual maybe isn't all that clean, but the analysis is great, you have a really good shot of making it into that. And I want to say, there is no competition. Please don't be upset if you don't make it to the favorites. We want to use it as a bit of encouragement, but it doesn't mean your viz wasn't good. So yeah, just a little word. Now there's a question. Yes, so the book will be available as a hard copy as well. But because of COVID, all these printing cycles have been delayed. So you can pre-order it on Amazon, and I'm waiting for a Wiley discount code. You can order it through them as well. So I'll publish that as soon as I get it. But it will probably be in the US early November to receive it. And everything else, every other country, is probably another 4 to 6 weeks after that, unfortunately. So if you want to read it straight away, I recommend the ebook version. It's also the one where you get there's only a couple of pictures in there, you get them in color. But if you're happy to wait and maybe make it a Christmas present for yourself, then feel free to wait. Okay, how to participate? We'll make this quite quick because we want to get into our live action. The first step is to get the data and read the article. Typically there's an article that goes with it, and it gives you some background information. And Charlie, I think from what we've seen is sometimes we definitely notice when people haven't read the article, they just grab the data, visualize it, and that shows, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, and we cover such a wide variety of topics. So there's going to be a point where it's a subject matter that you don't know about. So we had a cricket one, which through Eva, Andy had no clue. There were loads of queries in the chat when we did the viz review that week because people just didn't understand the terminology and stuff like that. And sometimes we've got cases where people don't really look at the values that are in a visualization. So we're like when Andy does his session later today, where he does his Watch Me Viz session, you'll see how he'll go to the source article, he'll go to the source data and try and understand what's what, because if you don't know what numbers you're dealing with, then it's very, very easy to stuff up and make an aggregation error or something like that. So it's good to be enthusiastic and dive in, but you risk making a few errors if you do it. So it's always worth just stand back, make sure you know what you're looking at.
Yeah, and my recommendation, the way I approach it and have from the start, is I look at the viz, I read through the article, and then for my own blog, every time I publish this, and Charlie does the same, we write a blog and we critique the original. So what's good about it? What's not so good? Because that already gives you an idea of what you could improve. And then, then it's time to build your own viz. So once you've built your viz, you've analyzed the data, you've visualized it, publish your viz. If you use Tableau, publish it to Tableau Public, and then share a picture and the link on Twitter with the hashtag MakeoverMonday. And if you want feedback during those Wednesday webinars, add the hashtag MMVizReview. We make it an opt-in system because not everyone wants to be critiqued live on the internet, right? So if you want feedback, use that hashtag. And from that hashtag, we will then, as Charlie mentioned earlier, we'll collect all the different ones, and we'll come up with a list that gives as much variety as possible. Then you can join us either live or on demand. It's always going to be recorded on YouTube, so you can always watch it whenever it's convenient. And then, make some updates and share it again. And we also have a submissions form, and I'll show you that very shortly. Where do you participate? The data is makeovermonday.co.uk/data. You can go straight to data.world, but this is probably a bit simpler because there's just links. Under submit, we have a submissions form. And for today, we have added a checkbox at the end. If you want us to share your viz after the 60-minute live vizzing, then you can just check that checkbox and we will make sure that we pick a few of those. The webinars are on Andy's channel, youtube.com/AndyKriebel. You're already there. Make sure to subscribe. And then on Twitter, you use the hashtag MakeoverMonday. You can tag us in your vizzes, Try My Data and Charlie H Tableau. And then our blogs are linked there as well. Feel free to take a screenshot of this right now. And my YouTube channel, that's where I publish the weekly recap. And for my weeks, also the favorites. Okay, that's our website. Okay, are you ready for a live makeover?
I am.
Good, me too. I'm slightly nervous that I will not produce anything useful in 60 minutes, so we'll see how we go. Charlie, this is the original viz. Any comments from you?
It's special, isn't it? So I think whenever we see things like 3D pie charts and 3D whatever, we get a bit twitchy. And when you've got a map like this, which is kind of pitched at an angle and you've got all these 3D spikes jumping around, it's just a nightmare to actually compare values. So if it was really important to know the geography of a place, this is a subject that we touch on pretty much every week when there's geographical data. If it's really important to know what's where, then fine, do a map. But this is really, Andy found the data this week. He found the chart, and it's just not very nice.
Yeah,
just to be simple.
I think this, like a lot of the vizzes that we use, at first grabs your attention. You're like, oh wow, what is this? And then when you look more closely, you're like, oh, there's a lot wrong with it. So maybe everyone can have a quick think about what is not so great about this visualization. So what you're going to do is, you have 60 minutes. I mean, of course, you can cheat. You can go for longer. But after 60 minutes, we will regroup. And you can stay here on this YouTube live stream the whole time. You can chat with people in the live chat. You can watch us viz. You can use us as a bit of a background noise. But I recommend, especially if you maybe have multiple monitors, or maybe you have an iPad or a phone where you can have the YouTube stream up, but then on your laptop or on your computer, you get to work. You're going to build a visualization. Charlie is going to release that data very shortly. Then you publish it. And let me briefly show you this submissions form. So if you go to makeovermonday.co.uk/submit, I just want to make sure everyone knows. You fill in all these things. So you pick 2020, your name, your Twitter handle, the week that you're submitting for, so that's week 40, a link to your interactive viz, so that's to Tableau Public if that's what you're using, and a link to your image. And then if you tick the box at the very end, that's the list of people who we're going to pick from to then, in presentations afterwards, we're going to bring up your viz. Now, due to logistical reasons, we can't have everyone, dial into Zoom and present their own viz, but we're going to do our best job. And you are more than welcome, once you see it on the screen, to write a comment in the live chat as well about what you did. So that's what we'll do there. Back to the slides. What's important to say is, your viz doesn't have to be finished after 60 minutes. Just do whatever you can in that hour. If you just create a chart, that's perfectly fine. If you want to do a dashboard, that's fine as well. And just make sure that you publish, and we want to see everyone's work. Okay. Charlie, is the data ready?
The data is ready.
Excellent.
Ready to go.
So if everyone goes to and it's on our website as well. Oh, Charlie?
Oh, sorry. What was that?
Is it on the website as well?
Yeah, it's on the website. So on data.world on Makeover Monday.
So if you go to makeovermonday.co.uk/data, you pick the latest week, which is week 40. Click on the data.world link. You will see the data set. And I'm just going to have a blank screen now, and I'm going to make my way into Tableau and get started. And I'd love to hear from people, on the live chat if they want to, while they're going. And Charlie and I will probably kind of swap in and out of the screen share.
Yeah, we can give it a go. So if that doesn't work, I'm more than happy to try and get somewhere and then publish it, and you share mine and I'll talk through whatever I did. But okay. We'll just see how it goes.
Well, the screen share we have to do through Zoom, which is fine. So you just have to tell me when you want to share something, and I can just go until then. I just need to get my data. And yeah, very excited to see what everyone's creating. So I'm gonna try and have a quick chat on Twitter to see if there's any questions. And okay, so my first step was to actually, in all honesty, I did this yesterday just because we're running this presentation and all. But I had a look at the viz, and I pre-wrote my blog post, but I did not yet look at the article. So I've got my data, but let's go to the data set on data.world, which should look the same to all of you. And there is the data set at the bottom. There's a hyperfile as well, if you want to use that. So the source article, 3D map, the US cities with the highest economic output. Okay, so we've got our map. I had a look at the map. A 3D map, which is, interesting. So the US holds the title of the world's largest economy. And there are, as they say, there are a few select cities responsible for a large share of the country's total economic output. So these are actually metropolitan areas, but that's okay. We'll as we say in German, we'll close an eye, we kind of let that one slide. So there is a list of the top 10 metro areas by economic output, which I find quite helpful because it ties back to the map, but it just kind of gives me the numbers without having the distraction of the map. And we have New York, of course. To be honest, I didn't expect LA to be in the second spot and Chicago in the third. But then we have San Francisco in fourth place. Okay. I actually found the second map a bit more useful or engaging. But that gives me a bit of context. And let's go to our Tableau workbook. So we have our table with year, country, FIPS. What is that?
Now I know this because I looked and I saw the data. So you can ignore it. It's like some code. I don't know if it's a tax code for that county.
County, not country.
Totally ignore it.
Okay. And then we have the region and the sub-region. Okay, that's kind of useful. We've got the state and the actual name of the county and the full name of the county and then the GDP. And Andy kindly turned this into proper numbers rather than having it as thousands. So, okay. My first step in Tableau is to just kind of click around and see what happens. So if I'm just going to go to GDP and maybe put year on there, so it kind of increased over time, and maybe I'll bring county to detail and see what happens. Okay, so I can see there's a lot of counties that are smaller that are responsible for that bottom section, but then there are those top ones. Now, okay, I'm a bit confused because LA here is above New York. Very interesting. I wonder why that is. Oh, but these are counties. These are not just the metropolitan areas. So maybe that's the difference. Okay.
There are lots and lots and lots of counties. Some of these states have got tons.
Maybe I'll do states and then I do year. I love a good heat map. And let's put our GDP on color. Okay, and then maybe let's sort them. Oh, I don't mind that one either. Let's make it a bit bigger. I don't know if I want a border around it. And okay, so how is everyone going with their visits? I haven't seen any comments that people had trouble accessing the data. Hopefully data.world didn't crash, but yeah, let us know if you're in the swing of things. Okay, good. So, I mean, the heat map isn't all that interesting because it's at a state level. What if we put the county in there? Is it going to explode? 1,800 members. Okay, that's fine. So LA, New York, Cook. Okay, I want the full name because I don't know what Cook is. Oh, here we go again. Sorted. Cook County. Okay, very useful. Orange County. I've heard of Orange County. Isn't there a TV show, Charlie?
Yeah, it was quite a horrible amount of time ago as well. Like much further ago than you'd think.
Dallas, yeah. A few of these names mean literally nothing to me unless they have the big city in the name. This is not all that useful. So let's build something else. What about a bar chart? So maybe.
Guess what I'm doing.
So yeah, actually, let's do that and build a bar chart. I mean, this is what I love about Tableau because it just lets you explore things and see does something actually stand out. And then maybe. How many years do we have? Okay, so we have 2001 to 2018. I don't know if this is going to be any use. Let's see. Okay. Okay, so let's use our where is it? Filter. Top 10. Okay. So I'm interested. Yeah, it's interesting. LA is at the top, is above New York County. I wonder why. Because the original viz is suggesting something very different. But yeah.
So I've been quite sloppy. So after all that talk about saying, oh yeah, I'll read the data and then pay loads of attention to the article. I've done exactly what I said I wouldn't do. So I'm just throwing stuff together, and it's a challenge this week actually. Because there's a lot of data in here.
There is a lot of data. So I just selected the top 10, and I'm gonna go back to the article because it has Chicago. I guess I can't really compare that because it doesn't. What is Cook County? Cook County. I have to admit, Cook County. Okay. So that would be Chicago. And then Harris County. This is the stuff you don't learn in geography in Germany. You don't learn about counties. You learn about cities, states, and the country. Harris County is in Texas. Interesting. Houston. Okay. So does that tie back to... Well, Houston is in there somewhere. Okay. So our data seems to have different numbers from the original. But don't get hung up on that. I'm just looking at, do I want to do a top 10 kind of list like they did? What about a map? I'm sure people want to have a map. So if I do county, it already... Let's see what happens. Oh, it doesn't know a lot of them. Because the country is set to the wrong... geographical role. Create from... Okay. I need to bring in the country. Where is... here we go. We've got a little indicator. Edit locations. Why is it not under United? It's not reunion.
Oh, USA, yes.
Is it USA? I shouldn't be surprised. Okay. There's still 430 unknowns. Oh well, let's just hide the indicator and pretend that's not there. And pop that on size. I kind of want to get rid of Alaska and Hawaii. I know that's very offensive, but I don't have space for them right now. Let's, sorry to my friends in Hawaii and Alaska. I know that's not very nice, and I'm sure it's a pet peeve of theirs to be excluded. I just want to see this properly. And let's make the map. Oh, I hate how map options is not the thing that I always think it is.
Oh, you get map layers mixed up as well.
Always.
Every single time.
Always throw a coastline on there. Okay. So the colors are a bit funky. Let's make it a bit darker. I don't think it needs a border or a halo. It's a very kind of neat grid pattern, at least in Texas. Like they all look kind of stacked in neat lines. Okay. I kind of like the map. I don't know if it's going to be any use. I really don't know where I'm going to go with this. Oh, I didn't even look at the time when we started, but I think it was at 8:40 our time. So that gives us an indication of how long we can go for. Okay. I'm going to try something else. I do like the idea of a heat map, but it just needs to be broken down into something that is not as massive as the other one I had before. So I've got my year. If I now put the GDP on it, and okay, it's just, it doesn't really change over time. The same state that is at the top, or it's a state in this case. They're always going to be at the top. It's just the nature of things. I don't see anything pop out where one state really changed. But let me go back to my line chart. Okay, county. That's a lot of counties. That's not great either. Okay, what is this one? Harris County. Let me use the full name.
Yeah, this is surprisingly difficult.
It is. It
feels like, there has to be, there's too much data to put in one chart. So like I was thinking, let's just do a line chart and have something where you have a highlight action or a parameter action or something like that allows you to pick something up. It's just too noisy because there's so many tiny or smaller counties with not that much GDP going through. So
a slope chart and see if something stands out, because if I go, so Santa Clara, they certainly, between 2001 and 2018, they've almost tripled their GDP. Maybe there's going to be a story in that. Because Orange County, they they went up by 100 million? No, 100 billion? Is that even possible? No, that's not possible, surely. But it looks like it. But I like seeing the ones. I wonder if anyone went negative. But I like seeing those. Do you want me to give you a bit of a screen share time? Do you want to share something?
Yeah, you can do. Let's see if I can mess it up.
Okay. So I've got Zoom up. So if you want to share your screen, you should have permission to.
What's this button do? Hold on, what am I doing? Breaking stuff. Break stuff. Exit that. Share screen. Cool, I can do that. And then I can go to probably this one. Okay.
There we go.
Hopefully you can see what I've got. Is it there?
Yeah, it is there.
Cool. So I've been really blundering about quite badly, but I have got somewhere. So I've realized that there's a hell of a lot of data here. So I've decided, all right, I'm going to look at the most recent year, which is 2018. So I've got a nice little level of detail calc, which just says, is the year the highest one that's in the data set. So I've got 2018 data. So I've just got a bar for each state for 2018, and then sneaky parameter action. So if I click on Florida, it drills in, tells me what all these different counties have contributed, which is kind of something, because I'm figuring that I need to drill into the data and try not to show all the data at once. So my thinking now is that I want to get rid of as much data as I can, just to draw people into particular areas. So if I go to Florida, I now want to have some viz and tooltips behind the scene, which is why I've started work on this, which is just going to be the GDP trend for that particular county. And then I've got a bunch of calculations, which I hope will be what's the value in the first year for the selected county versus the last one, and what's the change in absolute terms, and what is it in percentage terms. So I think I've made progress. I just need to figure out how to bring it all together in a way that doesn't go horribly wrong. And I haven't used viz and tooltips for quite some time, so this could be interesting. I'll have to see what happens. I fiddle around with some settings, make it wide but not so tall. It kind of works. The thing that annoys me with viz and tooltips is you end up going down this Alice in Wonderland spiral of, you almost want to be able to see tooltips within the viz and tooltips. So when I hover over this, I almost want to be able to see the annotations related to the data behind it, but I can't be too picky. So so now I need to work out how can I make, oh look, there we go, we're working. So, but I don't like the fact that the axis is so huge, the y-axis, with all these decimal places and stuff like that. So I'm just gonna show the line ends for values, match my mark color just to be nice and consistent, and then I'm get rid of that axis and see if I can get away with that. Does it look all right? It probably does, and I think I can probably make it a little less wide. Go to 50. Okay, so now we're fitting reasonably well. I can get rid of that from my tooltip. And now it's just a case of me figuring out what stuff do I want to bring into the tooltip, hopefully. So if I say, get rid of this, shove in the state name or the county name. Yeah. So somehow I feel like I'm already at a formatting position when this is the bit that always takes me forever, and that's not worked, which is annoying. And that's because I haven't drilled through Harris County, Texas. Eva, did you figure out why in the data set the GDP value is called chained?
I have not. I've wondered that myself. Let me see if I can find out.
I kind of skim read it and switched off. Just seems like a weird term.
Okay, for all the non-finance majors, GDP at chained volume measure is a series of GDP statistics adjusted for the effect of inflation to give a measure of real GDP. In other words, with a fixed weight method of calculating real GDP, the weighting of different goods can become outdated.
Cool. So, okay, it's probably worth me keeping it in. Chained is a weird word, though. I don't know. I'd call it adjusted for inflation, and maybe it takes up too much space.
And for those who are watching and who are interested, I've just posted the, not wanting to distract from Charlie's work here, just posted the discount code on Twitter. If you are keen to buy the book, then please go ahead. And And if you don't know the Red Shelf platform, I tried that out a couple of weeks the first time, and I thought it's brilliant because you can do so much. You can really interact with your book. So I'm gonna just mute myself, Charlie. Let you talk through your viz while I try and work on mine.
Cool, thank you. So yeah, now I'm at the bit now where I always end up getting tripped up. So I'll save this before I've finished it. So I get annoyed that there's an asterisk there. So there's an asterisk there because I haven't clicked through to the state to reveal the county. So I do that, then this county names pop up nice and neat, which is cool. So I just need to write a calc that says that handles that. So I don't want to see an asterisk because it annoys me. So I think I need to do if the count of county name doesn't equal 1, then pull in the state. Otherwise, bring in the county name. If that works, I'm going to be happy. It's not going to because that's annoying. Let's try and use some attributes. See if this gets me around it. So there's no real science to this. So when you watch Andy do Watch Me Viz, he always knows how he's getting to the solution. I just blagged that, just wrap stuff in attributes. It seems to have worked, or at least the error's gone. So we can see if it works. If it does, I'm going to be so pleased with myself. So California. Oh no, that's going to annoy me as well. Okay, so I got California appears twice because I haven't drilled through. So I've got this to show the county. Then I can just tweak this. So I don't want the state. I got the tooltip level. So California overall is that. If I drill in, it's that. So now I want a little bit on the end of this, which says when I've drilled through and have revealed the county name, I need to show the state as well. So let's try and doctor this one and see if we can come up with something similar. So if the count of the county full name doesn't equal 1, so basically if I've drilled through, give me the state, otherwise give me nothing. Oh, it should work. What is that still called? Jeez, where did I put it? State there. Now if I shove this here, I've not drilled through knackers, that didn't work. It didn't there, so I've gone it backwards. So California only shows there, we've not drilled through, drill through. That's there. So now the lack of a comma is going to annoy me. And welcome to my life where I stress about things like commas in bloody tooltips. So now I need to sort this out. So let's have a think. I have to park that for the moment because I've just been talking about tooltips for the last 10 minutes or so. So we've got some detail in the bars. We've got drill through functionality. We've got lines. We know where the place is. We know what its GDP value. Now, what GDP value? That's the GDP value in 2018. So we better make that clear. My whole thinking of having this pinned to 2018 is it just says, all right, as a comparative, where are we now? How does this stuff look? So I can look at Georgia, click through, see that Fulton County generates the greatest share of GDP in Georgia. And now I'm just going to bring in some other cunning stuff. So I just wanted this to be kind of very digestible. So I've got the name of the county, the final year, GDP, and I wanted to bring in the first and last year values. So I've already shown just this level of detail calc that says is the year the earliest in the data set. And then I've got for each county. So if you fix it at the level of the county, bring me in the GDP if it's the first year. So what we can do is if we look at that, let's go to a state, go to a county, get all of them. Let's go Alabama. Just keep that. Just got some coffee county. It's got some crazy places. And then if I go to year, make it discrete. So I've got every year for every county. So we'll just look at this one because I can pronounce it. So Baldwin County. And then this calc here, if we do stick that there. So we've got the value of GDP for each year. And then hopefully, if I've not messed up these calculations, I stick the first in, and I have messed up things, but I need to add that. So 3.93, which is the first year. And then for the last year, 577, cool. So we know all is good. So I just had to add Alabama into context because it wasn't in context, and the level of detail, we'll just ignore that when it's fixed. So this is good because I now know that I can trust my other calcs. So I've got what's the change in dollars from the first year to the last for each county. So simple as that. And then what's the percentage point change? I've got this. So if I take the final value divided by the first, knock off 1, which is knocking off 100%, then I should have my percentage point change. So I can start whacking these into the tooltip here. So if I bring in county first, county last, the change values, I can get to work. So I think I'm going to lose the 2018 value because I don't need it mentioned there, because if I've already got the line showing what the final value is, I just don't need it. I will bring in some of these new figures. So first value, last value. I'm not quite done yet. I'm just going to shuffle things around. I just want to shove everything in there so I can see what's going on. So the change in dollars is that. Percentage point change. Come on, there we go. That has not gone to plan because when I drill through, so it works when I drill through. So what I can do is treat myself to get more calculations to get around that, which is going to be rewarding. Oh, nuts! See, I've really opened myself up to a world of pain now. Okay, so let's.
So I'm just quickly jumping in because there's a couple of comments, and hello, good morning to Marion. People were saying Denise said she can't see the frame when you're working on the tooltips on your calculations. So I can see it now. Hopefully people can, because maybe it was in a different window before. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll try and keep an eye on. See, I can't multitask. I can't keep an eye on 2 screens and do stuff, but I'll try and do better.
I have to try and build my viz on the small screen because on the big one I'm sharing the screen, so I can't do it on
same
there.
here.
I'm like leaning. I might have to use my glasses, but they reflect on the camera, so I'll have to take them off again. Okay, you may continue. And
I'm glad to see Marion. Is Marion in Belgium? I think she's Belgian, isn't she?
She is in Belgium, yes.
It's good. I've got nice links to Belgium, Marion, because my dad used to live in Brussels and then Waterloo. So I like Belgium. So well done for being Belgian, Marion.
She lives in Biscoff country.
Okay, so when I'm drilled through, I'm so happy. So I might just, in the interest of speed, just leave myself where I am and ignore the fact that it all looks ruined when it's at a state level. So I might, I'll fix that for 5 o'clock. I'll give myself some time to sort that out. So I'm not going to worry about it now. So one thing I don't know is I'm going to write, I don't know if in all cases 2001 is the first year. I'm going to make an assumption and just go with it for now because that's what I'm doing. So 2001 GDP, and then 2018. It's not going to be the neatest looking tooltip, but there's information in there, so information's good. shrink that because it's the size of it was annoying me a bit. Now the size of that's annoying me a bit, so I'll have to fiddle with that. So I'm pleased that the Mariam was happy with the thing about me getting annoyed by commas, and I'm imagining Mariam will also worry about things like the size of the font. And now I look at that and I'm a little bit annoyed by the size of the font on the x-axis, so I'm going to have to sort that out because it annoys me. In my never-ending circle of fixing things. So let's go down to 8. Does that make me happier? I don't know. I'm going to also fiddle around with tick marks between years because 10 years feels a bit too chunky. Knock it down to 5. It looks a bit more uniform there, but I'm going to lose a bit of that when I hover because this space is... Oh, look, that's all right. Okay, that's good. What I might do is create a sort of false title. Time, which isn't very inspiring, but it is what it is. That's 11. Just check. This doesn't look too rubbish. It's kind of all right. I think what I'm going to do is, because this line chart is kind of, it's more or less like a spark line now, so I don't think I need to include the 0, and that will help it look a little bit less, just a bit, it just looks a bit weird at the moment, so I'm going to get rid of the 0, which will shrink me down. So this is always a contentious thing. So like if you truncate a 0 from a line chart, it's a little bit of a no-no because it's the sort of thing you see in, I think, is it Fox News that does the dreadful stuff in America where they just deliberately doctor stuff to try and make a point.
I think so.
It's kind of all right when it's spark lines like this. So I'm going to go with it. If anyone wants to tell me off, feel free. So I just think it looks a little bit better now, and then my particularness makes me want to fiddle around with the height of this now for no good reason. Let's just do 25 points off it. Nah, it didn't make much difference, so knock the same off again to 150. Okay, that's fine. Okay, I'm kind of cool with this. My only problem now is that trend over time looks really bad as a header. It just looks really bad, but I'm gonna go with it. So I might draw the line where I am at the moment. I just want to check that some of these calculations make sense. If I bring up calculator, find out where it is. So if we take 66.15, divide that by that, 9.2, and then, yeah, that's 9.3, so we're cool. So my calculation's cool. Everything makes sense. So now I'm just going to shove this actually into a dashboard. I think Eva said we started about 8:40, so I'm 32 minutes, so I'm feeling like I'm cruising along quite nicely now. How are you getting on, Eva, at your end of stuff?
I'm kind of getting on, but don't speak too soon because you have not published yet and things could completely change when you do. But if you're welcome to keep going, but I can also share where I'm at if people are interested.
All right, when I'll stop my share, will that just ping straight back to you?
You stop your share and I will just drag my Tableau window over. Okay.
Right.
So, it's a bit small, I guess, but maybe on the big screen we'll see. So I've decided to go with the slope chart, but to pick 2001 to 2018 and to just look at the top 10 counties. And the one that stood out to me is Santa Clara, which is where Silicon Valley is. Now, I'm not finished yet in terms of formatting and description, but I thought this shows nicely how after the .com crash, they've really gone up. And I'm trying to play with words, and I looked this up because in German we have a word that translates into cometary, like a comet, but is that a word in English? Is that actually a valid word? like when you rise.
Oh, I don't know, but it could be. It looks like it should be.
Okay. It did exist on the internet, so hopefully that's correct. But yeah, looking at their rise, I mean, that's going to be my focus. The other lines are there for reference, so I need to describe these top 10 somehow. I can see Andy has made an appearance in the live chat. So, okay. I guess my next step will be to do a bit of tidying up. I might leave the chained dollars as GDP description just because...
It is a word.
Oh, thank you. To some people that will mean something. I've also turned it into billions because the numbers were just so long. Yeah, but what...
Yeah, I did that. There was so many zeros, weren't there?
So, I mean, yeah, I guess I just typed in like a comet in my trusty dictionary or translation page. So we have tick marks. What am I gonna do? We've got maybe every 100. Oh, what is this? Oh, I've never typed so many zeros. Here we go. Okay, so we've got that. Now what I don't like is how in these slope charts we tend to have so much space to the left and right, but I'm going to use it to annotate. So let's do a bit of tidying up. I'm not sure if I like the dots at the end, but we'll see. Lots of grumbling about the data at the beginning. Ah, okay. I thought we've missed something and people are having struggles, but I think Denise is just settling in just like we are and trying to wrap her head around it. So maybe let's do a bit of formatting. Actually have to go to the sheet because some stuff is only available on the sheet. So what if we match them out of color? I'm not sure if I like that. So I tend to, I have a Mac and I have a Windows PC, and I'm on my Windows laptop right now because then I have the dual screens, and I always tend to stick to Tableau's font because that way I don't need to worry about what's available on Tableau Public, whereas on my Mac I always go for Avenir. But let's see what I can.
Yeah, same here. It's annoying stuff like that, isn't it? You just hope everything would stick, and I'm sure there's really good technical reasons for it, but I don't care about really good technical reasons. I just want everything to work.
Well, I mean, some of them are proprietary, so Tableau would have to pay. I mean, that's my kind of simple explanation, if we are allowed to use those. Now, what I also want is this label to have the full name. Of course that happens because I didn't pay attention, and I don't want any labels, I just want that one. Always. Now, always show. But then, no, I don't really want that because, let's go back, because they don't need to be, I think this is good enough, and I will just annotate my title with the color. So here we go. And also the colors on a Mac are so much better. I mean, the color availability. Oh, that should probably be the same.
Andy seems to revel in stirring up chat windows.
He does. He's a troublemaker. Okay. So I guess, yeah, this one stood out to me because they were just dabbling at the bottom of the top 10 in 2001, Santa Clara County, and then they're, right in the middle. And when you look at where Santa Clara actually is, because, not all of us know, let me bring that up. I could have two things in one. So Santa Clara County is actually just that bottom bit of, just kind of south of San Francisco. So it doesn't include the city of San Francisco, but it does include Silicon Valley. So it's that area. But there's a whole lot going on just kind of northwest of that county border. So given the, the population and all of that, but the massive amounts of companies that are all located in Mountain View, Palo Alto, etc., it's probably not surprising, but I would say there is a lot going on because half that county seems to be forest as well. So anyway, that's what I'm going to make my story. Oh yes, and Andy's cookie video. Oh my god, those cookies are so good. But I need to be good and have my porridge first for breakfast. Now I wonder, with my viz, I think it would be silly to not have what am I going to do? I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a dual axis because I just had a thought. Dual axis. Synchronize. And then hide that one. And of course now I have to format again. I still wonder why, but not all the mysteries of life can be explained. Because on my second axis, what I want is I want to actually have some labels. And I want the name to be on the label. Haha. But maybe only for... maybe let's not have them and then just have them for the top two, because I think people will wonder, oh, what are they? So I'll add those. Why is there the number now? Because it jumped around. It didn't friggin' anyway. Always show. Because I think it would be silly not to show the top two, but people wouldn't logically kind of ask that. And maybe what I could also do is show the one for Santa Clara, just in case people didn't see the color legend at the start. What I'll do is I'll just make this a little bit smaller because I don't think it needs to be all that large. The number is really what I want to have a bit larger. And I love a good dual axis because you can be so flexible. And maybe that one can be semi-bold. Be a bit fatter. Okay, I mean, there's only so much. Yeah, I will complain about formatting. I mean, it's just, it can be a bit of a pain. I also think that I'm going to put my group on the size because I want, of course it does it that way. I want to have the grey lines a bit smaller. Oh, what is going on? Oh, still so fat. This is ridiculous. Why is that so big? I didn't actually... Anyway. What's going on? Why is it not making it smaller? My Santa Clara County line is way too fat. See that? Like, I'm making all sorts of changes and it just doesn't apply it. Okay. That is just ridiculous. Okay. Let's get rid of the dots first. Why are there still dots? This is so silly. Okay. Let's get rid of that again. I think that's good enough. I'm not going to bother.
If it's any consolation, I'm struggling as well. But I'm pretty sure we've still got another, 8 hours to actually finish, because we've got the 5 o'clock session.
Yeah, got a bit of time. In the interest of my fellow people who also have eyesight getting worse and worse, I'm going to just make these labels, these axis labels, a little bit larger. And of course, I need to put stuff in there. And I'm going to use Andy's trick that he taught me like 2 years ago about using the caption. So, data. Where is our data from? It's called BEA Gov. What is that? I don't know, but I will trust it. BEA.gov. And I need to get my little ASCII symbols. Where do I have them? Oh, I'm like managing 4 different screens. It's a struggle. but hopefully people are still following along, and hopefully people's visits are coming along nicely. Do we have anything on Twitter? Any questions?
No questions on there. I just wonder how everybody else is ticking along, because where are we? About 45 minutes in, roughly. I think people are quite reassured by the pain that we go through as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. And I use Notepad to clear the formatting of the ASCII symbols that I use in my signature. It's always five spaces, a dot, a space, a dot, a space, a dot, 5 spaces. That's how I roll. Now, and then the highlight color from the viz gets picked up in the middle dot. People have probably seen this before. I just like making it a bit kind of unique. Okay, now the one thing, yeah, no, that's fine. Actually, I need to put in a line before, so I've got enough space. I mean, it's simple, but I kind of am okay with that. Maybe it needs a bit more of an explanation though. The hope of Silicon Valley. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's in 6th place. Oh, I did some calculations earlier. Where's my calculator? So if I have that as a 273% increase in GDP chain, I'm just going to do that, between 2001 and 2018. And I think I'm going to make this just 1 point smaller. Okay. Making it the... What... So if I were to say, Charlie, I need your advice here. If I were to say making it the 6th largest county by economic contribution, is that a claim I can make?
Sounds good enough to me.
Okay. I just want to use something like explain that a bit, but also fill up the space a bit. And I'm going to make that larger.
Don't do that. Jeez.
It's kind of weird to think that we're all doing this, but we have people watching us. Oh, come on, surely.
I know, it must be fascinating.
Maybe like that. Okay, that's better. And now a bit more formatting, just because it's so much fun. Let's stick in a blank. And I always make my blanks a height of 10 because then I don't need to change the padding because I'm a bit lazy, but it also gives a bit of extra space. And I wonder, why is that so, why can I not, I mean, I guess I could make it narrower and a bit taller. Then I need to make this smaller, maybe 23. 24. Yeah. Okay, I think I'm okay with that. I don't think this is one of the fastest vizzes I've created. Okay, Marion, we're looking forward to seeing you this afternoon. and seeing your viz as well. So how is everyone going? I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring back Zoom. Charlie, if you're ready to be on camera.
I'm published. I'm done.
I need to do that, but I need to do that off screen because of email address and password kind of things. So let me put that over to the other side of the screen. You're already published. Maybe you wanna. Oh yeah. Well, that's good. I need to just.
I mean, it's full of errors and stuff that I need to sort out. So if I had spent 12 minutes sorting it out, I could probably do that.
Okay. So, Andy. I need him to check the submissions things. I'll be back in a second. All right. Okay. So if people are publishing, and please make sure to tick that box so that we can share your viz on screen with everyone else. And I'm gonna just get my stuff. I do have a hard stop in half an hour because I have another meeting as these things go on a Monday. But I'm sure we can breeze through a few submissions, and you know, even if people aren't finished, like just share it. You're also welcome to send me, like if it's not finished, so you don't want to publish yet, just send me a direct message on Twitter, and I'll have it on my other screen and then bring it up and share it, because it would be really cool to see what people got up to in those 60 minutes. Okay. Charlie, tell us something about your life. What's everyone drinking? Do you have a drink with you?
I just water today.
Half-finished bowl of porridge that I need to also get to at some point. Now, we are not typically at these events. We play music while people are visiting, and we can't do that because I think there's what do you call it? Like broadcasting rights around music, and you know, we can't just broadcast someone's commercial songs on the internet. So yeah. Thanks. Okay. Hang on. Okay. We're just coordinating this presentation thing. I wonder how many visitors we'll get. Okay, great. We already have 5 in the pipeline. I'm very excited. Very cool. Already want to say thanks to the people who have submitted. And let me get mine finished, because this is getting a bit ridiculous. Another trick I learned from Andy that people might be interested in is when I save my viz, the naming, I always keep the same. So I have in my Tableau repository under workbooks, I have a folder for every year of MakeoverMonday. And in the name, I have hashtag MakeoverMonday, week, and then the week number, a dash, and then the topic. And when you save it before you publish it to Tableau Public, that name gets taken on to Tableau Public, and it automatically includes the hashtag on Tableau Public, so people can search the tag, and it's already in there. So I find that very convenient. Okay. Oh, George Patterson, what a legend that you're following along on your phone. I'm sorry to hear your laptop broke, but it's great to see that you're still tuned in. Yeah, that's a bummer that you can't participate live, but maybe you can draw a picture of something that resembles a viz. So people have about 5 or so minutes left if you want to put some finishing touches on your vizzes and then hit the submit button in that form so we can share as many as possible. Oh, I didn't format my tooltips, oh no. It always gets me. You know what, my trick is to just switch them off, but this time I think I will just make the effort to update them. Oh, they even pop up. I might just leave them on here. Okay. People can probably, yeah, they can see my editing window. So I'm just gonna preview. Yep, that's good enough. Republish. So Denise, I see that you're still on in like the middle of your night, but hopefully the new cookie video will come out soon, and hopefully you'll give them a go because I think they make some great snacks for this TC20 week. Let us know what you think. I tend to be the taste tester for them. Okay, unpublished. Now I'll just quickly update my blog. So much to do with this MakeoverMonday stuff, isn't there, Charlie? It's like blog and this and that, all these different pieces.
And videos.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, the gelato. Yes, Denise, we'll just have to reverse the roles and get Andy to film a video of the gelato. Salted caramel, lemon sorbet, and I think that's it. But I'll need to come up with a new flavor and do that. Okay, we'll give you another 2 minutes, and then we're going to move over to our live presentations. I wonder if Andy has a viz and if he's going to present a viz, because he could join the Zoom because we've given him the invite.
Mine, what do you give yours out of 10, Eva, so far?
My own viz?
Yeah.
Oh God. I've learned that you should never say 7, because 7 is kind of neither here nor there, because it's not amazing, but it's also not bad enough to be in the bad bucket. But I'd probably say, I don't know. I mean, so if I judge it based on, that's the thing. He gives it a 2?
Oof.
That is harsh, and I'm just here praising his cookies. He's sitting right there, I should hit him over the head. Yeah, Sankalp, there was meant to be cake, but there hasn't appeared. None has appeared. What did I give myself? I would say, I was kind of thinking a 6 because you could do so much more with this data. But if I think about, okay, does this chart actually tell the story I'm trying to tell? I would probably say more like a 7 to 8, because I think it does tell the story. It's like, well, it's going from, 10th place to 6th place within the matter of 17 years, and that's a pretty steep increase.
Yeah, mine might legitimately be in the 2 territory.
I wouldn't say so. Oh yes, here comes the cookie jar. They are exceptional. I'm not going to have one now, but this is our cookie jar. And these are double chocolate chip dream cookies. Oh, too close. I don't know how this camera works. No, I'm not gonna eat it. I haven't had breakfast yet. I haven't finished my breakfast. Andy can eat about 5 for breakfast. Okay, we should probably wrap this up. I think I've published mine, but I'm just going to pause that process for now and just see what people think. Or let me actually jump to make sure that if there's anyone who's messaged me on Twitter. So, no, okay, fine. Okay, so I'm going to bring up the first. Okay, people, we're only going to share vizzes that are from this week, because there's child marriage, there's benefits of remote work, females versus males, child marriage. There's none from actually now. We're not going to share vizzes that are not from this week, because that's past is in the past. We have. I'm just going to bring it up because I know Alex probably won't mind. Let me show this. Okay, so Alex Wallachek, our hero in. Is he in Auckland? Alex, are you in Auckland? I think you are. So he has created this heat map, North Dakota's oil boom. And Charlie, can you see that as well?
Yep, I've got it.
Okay, great. So I've zoomed in a little bit. North Dakota has one of the smallest economies out of all US states, so rank 47. Looking at their year-over-year growth, however, you can see clearly that they had by far the highest growth across all of the states over the last 16 years. Due to the oil which was found, so there has been an oil boom because the oil was found. Okay, so you can see the numbers that he's got in there. And he's got a heat map. We've got all 50 states with a heat map, and it's really cool to see how with the year-over-year changes, how you can see that recession, 2008, 2009, and still a little bit in the coming years for some of the states. So so that's really cool to see. What do you think of this one?
I like it. It's like a marginal histogram, isn't it? Off to the left with the bars that show, what is that? Is that the 2018 GDP? I'm guessing, because it's the 53 billion that's referred to at the top, and the rank 47. So that's nice to see. So I think I'd probably want some sort of heading at the top of those bars just to make it clear that that's what that metric is. And yeah, like you say, the heat map works well for those recession years, and then we can see it sort of dropped off and pinged back a little bit. I think it would be a really interesting exercise, this one, because if heat maps can be quite difficult, and if you didn't have those labels on the North Dakota cells, I don't know how much it would stand out. So it's obviously a story within the data, but it's needed those labels to reinforce it, because there's a few other places like New Mexico, New York, Louisiana, Delaware, where you can see that in 2009 there's blue cells. So maybe there was some sort of strong economy in those counties or those states in those years. But yeah, I like it. It's squeezed all the information in at a state level quite clearly.
Definitely. And I wonder, I had two thoughts. One is, should North Dakota be at the top so it's easier to see it first thing? Or should it be in 47th place? Like, should it be sorted by their GDP rank? Because that way you would see, okay, it's really like punching above its weight. And then maybe making it, I mean, I don't like when heat maps are too wide and the cells are really flat, but just giving those numbers a bit more space. Maybe something to play with, because we don't want to turn this into Viz Review, but it's cool what he created in just an hour, because it also probably involved a bit of research about what happened here with North Dakota.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he just knew, but maybe he didn't. So I'm gonna just pick a couple of things from the Twitter, and we have Avinash, who I'm sure, is happy to have his viz shown. Let me bring that up. And if we were in like real life Las Vegas right now, we would get people on stage. We did that last year, and it's really cool because we had 1,500 people in one room, and then 200 or something or no, 1,200 in one room and 400 in the other room, something like that. And you know, for people to not only build a viz in 60 minutes, but then to also have the guts to come on stage and show what they created is really cool. So I'm sorry we can't give you that experience right now, but this will be the next best thing. So Avinash, here we go. The US cities with the highest economic output. So, okay. So he's done slope charts, but by region. That's a good idea. And I wonder if then you sort your regions by that output so that it kind of goes in descending order or in ascending order. Because at the moment it jumps around a bit. So, you know, because we've got the far west first and then the Great Lakes, and then goes up to Mid-East. So maybe having a bit of a think about how those could be sorted. But yeah, what are your thoughts, Charlie, on this one?
Yeah, it's a good one, isn't it? Because it gives you a really good sense by region of where you've got these real outlying counties. So LA within California is obviously like way out there. Similarly, New York in New York, and then Cook in Illinois, and then what we got at the end, Harrison, Texas. So you can see there's some counties which, I don't know why, there's going to be some prominent industry there, which means they just generate huge GDP. So it really does well to show how dominant those counties have been, because even at in most cases, even when they were in the 2001, they were way ahead of everyone else, and in some cases they've stretched away. So I think that works well. On the left, there's like that mini slope chart, and I don't think that works quite so well because it's got this color legend of max, min, and other. And I can see the max, I can see the other. I think it might but the min value isn't showing anywhere.
Yeah. So the sorting of colors probably needs to change so that the min pops out to the front.
Yeah, but I mean, because the states have got such different levels as well. You've just got this massive stuff at the bottom, the way you sort of lose the trends of some of the smaller counties or some of the smaller states. So I don't know that that's worked as well, but certainly the whole right-hand section worked out well. And remember, this is an hour, so it's a good bit of output.
And also just doing all that formatting. I mean, you know,
yeah.
Well done, Avinash, for doing all of that. So then, third one is from Julien. As tweet, he says, live submission in a hurry. Yes, we all kind of are a bit, aren't we? Okay, so 80 counties over 3,089. I don't know what that means. Gather half of the US GDP in 2018, while the 10 first counties gather nearly 20. Okay, so the first 10 counties make up nearly 20% of GDP. Okay, I'm not going to scroll through that whole list. So if you want to do a Pareto chart, it would probably be more intuitive if it was horizontal, would be my guess. And maybe then highlighting, I'm not sure what the green part of the bar is compared to the grey part.
It's quite confusing. It's like a combination of a Pareto and a waterfall chart, so it's a bit hard to read.
Okay. Oh, so that's how it goes. Oh, you're still there, Charlie?
I can't see where you've picked this viz up from because I can't find it on public.
This was on Twitter. I'm just going through my notifications, and I saw the MakeoverMonday hashtag, and Julia had tagged me, so it popped up.
Right, let me dig that one out. Oh yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting. I think obviously, you know, we all just had 60 minutes, So my recommendation here would be to maybe just refine it a bit, just to make it a bit clearer what the story is. But it's, it's definitely, going through all of those counties and having the map in there, having a bit of play around with the data. There's only so much you can do. So well done on giving yourself that challenge. And I have, let me see. I'm just quickly checking the hashtag. So we also have Matthias Kamalski. I almost missed that one because he submitted a bit earlier.
Oh yeah, bump chart.
Let me bring that over. More details in the tooltips. Okay. All right. So, do you want to talk us through this one, Charlie?
Yes. So we've got bump chart, which is always kind of a good idea when you're comparing ranks of stuff. So we talk about these on Viz Review quite a bit. So you lose that sense of the difference between the different counties, but it still gives you a sense that actually Los Angeles has been out in first the whole way. New York's been there. Cook, Harris, and Orange have been sort of bouncing around between third and fifth, but it gives you that real quick insight as to actually you've had this pretty consistent trend in the top two, and then a consistent trend in the sort of 3 to 5, and then it jumps around a little bit either side of that. And we've got the bars at either end. So the bar to the left is 2001 and the bar to the right is 2018. So you get a sense of how these figures have moved for the county that ends in that rank. So it's a bit confusing in where you get counties that have shifted rank. It doesn't run obviously along the page horizontally. So if you go to, where's the first one? So in the 6th rank, you start with Dallas and close with Santa Clara. So you get that little bit of extra cognitive load you've got to put on yourself to try and figure out what's going on. But it's nice. And then it's I don't know how I'd describe it. It's like another massive marginal histogram with like a third element at the top as well, showing the overall GDP. I don't know if that's nationally or just for these counties, but again, it's clever and it's different to what we've seen already. It's getting lots of information into quite a small space, so it's a very good job.
Yeah, and if I can make a suggestion, is to do some highlighting. So if I click on Dallas, so I can see the line from start to finish, and everything else kind of fades into the background. I think that would be helpful for people who want to explore that. And it's neat that in 2012 it stands out that Santa Clara has like really shot up from 10th place to 6th place. And I wonder, because there was not only the Facebook IPO in that 2012-2013 timeframe, but also I think a number of other IPOs, and whether that is what made that big impact. Yeah, I'd be curious to find out. And then the other thing to be careful of is Suffolk has the same color as New York. So to be careful to just have a single color for the different ones. I'm sure it's just, Tableau repeating those, but so that you don't get confused by suddenly having another line that looks like New York. And also Harris and Jefferson have the same color. So this is probably the Tableau 10 color palette. So maybe you want to use the Tableau 20 because you have in the top 10 more than 10 counties, because some drop out and others come in. Okay, so there is, I think, one more, if I'm not mistaken. And, oh, no, there's a couple more popping in, so we'll see how far we can take it. Yeah, I have to drop off in about 2 minutes to get ready for my next meeting. But we have this viz from Lakshmi. And it's bar charts, Charlie. A bit big. Here we go. So it should be counties, not countries, with the highest economic output. So this looks like it's maybe the top I'm not sure, but maybe top 15 or 20. And then county FIPS. So that, as Charlie mentioned, that's a meaningless number. I think it's just kind of like a label, like the number of the county, but it doesn't actually have anything to do with. Now, I don't understand the count of GDP by county.
Yeah, I don't know what
is that?
Those are at all, to be honest, because you've got Montgomery with 306. So Montgomery is going to be a county, isn't it? And there aren't 306 instances of Montgomery in this because the data runs for like 17 or 18 years. So I don't know. I think earlier when we talked about MakeoverMonday at the start, we said about the need to be careful, check what your values are. So having a count of GDP doesn't make any sense anyway, because it's a value. You wouldn't have a count of a value.
The first two don't make any sense to use. And the third one looks at like it's the sum of all the years, but you can't put the GDP of all the years together. I mean, I guess you could if you said this is the combined GDP, but typically that's always at an annual level, right?
Yeah, so I think there's a few lessons learned here, and again, this is an hour's time frame. So sometimes you can dive in and feel a bit of pressure, and you put out something which doesn't make as much sense as it could do. So I think Laxmi maybe needs to step back, take another hour, and just be careful of the aggregation she's used.
Yeah, she said she updated it, but when I reload, I don't see a change. So I'll just do that. Okay, I don't see a change. But let's see if we can squeeze one more in. And there's one from Sankalp, who I believe has been on the live chat. Yes, I can see him on there. And let's very quickly look at that, because it stood out to me, because of the nice big map. Top 10 metros by economic output. So you can select a state. Let's select something that's not so obvious. What about Wisconsin? Okay, tooltips need to be updated, but you only had an hour, so I will very much forgive you. Top 10 counties in the state. Maybe in the state could be replaced with a dynamic field that says in and then picks up the state name in the last 18 years. Okay, so it's good that those are sorted, I would say, in descending order. But with the squares, it's really hard to tell what does it actually mean and how much bigger is that square compared to the next one. So, excuse me, Charlie, what about having a line chart here? Because within each state, there's a somewhat limited number of counties. Maybe a line chart with a line for each county that just kind of shows over time, because then you see you have the value on the axis, the the y-axis, and you can have a bit more of a concept of what's the magnitude.
Yeah, because squares are like circles. They've got that. Well, they're not as bad as circles, but look at some of the smaller ones. It's just a bunch of dots on the screen, so you can't make those comparisons. So I think that's a good suggestion.
Yeah. Okay, we'll have to finish it here. Otherwise, I'm going to be running late. I'll just bring us back on the screen. Let me bring up Zoom. So I hope everyone had fun who participated, and if you missed some of it, and if you're awake in 7 hours, then please do feel free to join us for the afternoon session. And Andy will be doing his Watch Me Viz during that session as well. So make sure, because we can kick back. We're done. We can kick back and just watch.
Yeah, no,
it's gonna be fun. We can be on the live chat. All right. Thanks, Charlie, for joining me. And I hope that everyone has registered for TC and is going to enjoy all those sessions and check out the Viz gallery. Andy said it's an incredible immersive experience. I haven't checked it out yet, but do that. Have a fun week at Data 20. Make sure to finish your Vizes, publish them, upload them. You'll have a head start over the afternoon crew. And I look forward to seeing, what everyone's coming up with.
Cool. See you all later.
See you all later. Bye.
Bye-bye.